if you are running a business, you should probably know what the structure of your business actually looks like. This is the structure of my business at the moment. We're currently redoing it, revamping it, and making it a little bit cleaner. However, this is such a useful diagram for myself. If you don't know who I am, my name is Grubma Singh. I'm the founder of G-Team Academy. We've got 50 entrepreneurs in our academy. I've done probably about 30, 40 different roadmaps for entrepreneurs, starting off at literally just starting out in business, all the way to entrepreneurs that are doing 100k a month, okay? And with these roadmaps, I have to actually really understand exactly what's going on within a business. And I actually asked one of my clients to create a diagram like this so that I could see what the constraint of the business is. So just for context, like if you're going to analyze a business, you need to know what the different components of the business are. This obviously clarifies what the components of a business are, split into three main sections: marketing, sales, and delivery. If I can pinpoint, actually, we're not getting enough people onto a roadmap call, I can then track back and be like, okay, well, the reason why we're not getting this is because this isn't going well, these things aren't going well, whatever, right? You can understand how this kind of diagram works because it's a very simple flow diagram. Now, this might be a little bit complicated for you to make for your business, so we've actually created a resource that's going to make that journey even easier. Welcome to the 4-stage business flow. Now, within this, I've broken it down into 4 different sections of basically what every single business has. And I'm going to be showing you how you can use this resource, which I have linked below in the description. So if you wanted to get a little bit more context in terms of like what your business actually does as a whole, so you can better deconstrain your business and grow it faster than ever, going through this business flow is going to make things much easier. So let's get started and we'll go through each one step by step. Now, number 1 is traffic, okay? Every business has traffic sources, okay? It's how people become aware that you even exist, and there's a few different ways that you can do it. Now, you might be aware that Hormozi has what he calls his core 4. I typically just boil these down to 3, which is paid ads, content, and then you've got 2 different types of outreach. You've got warm outreach or cold outreach, yeah? Now, pretty much every business runs on one of these as the main way that they get customers, okay? Very rare can you have a business that doesn't use this, unless you've got like a physical store and people just kind of walk past and then like that kind of gets some traction, or you did one of these to get started, but then things go really well and then you start using lead getters, which I'll get into in a second. But this is essentially it. Now, if we look at these core 4, I'm just going to give you an example of my business, just to make things a little bit easier for you. So we run paid ads, and we also do organic content. Now, truth be told, we don't get pretty much any leads through organic content, very, very low amount of leads, but we still do it because it's very helpful for our business, and it helps us to also improve our ads. And it also shows anyone that we have a pulse online. It gives people to build a little bit, it gives a chance for people to build a little bit of trust with us. So we found organic content to be really helpful. And I typically know that people that do outreach as well benefit from doing some content as well, even if it's just 1 post a week. Very, very helpful. But this is the main way that we actually grow our business. Then if we look a little bit deeper, we can look at lead getters. Now, this is ways that you actually have other people doing the traffic generation for your business. Now, these people could be customers, affiliates, employees, or agencies. Again, branching off Hormozi's core 4. Now, for us, the main way that we actually get leads from any of these, and by the way, you don't need to. If these are killing it for you, you don't need to have a lead getter. But for us, main thing that we do get is referrals from customers, which is really, really positive to see. We could hire an agency to do our ads. We could hire some affiliates. I have Adnan, who could technically do outreach as an employee to generate leads for us, but that's not his main function in the business. And I don't need an employee to do that stuff because the ads that we do is working. Yeah. So that's the lead getter side of it. The next thing is a lead magnet. Now, lead magnets typically boil down into one of 3 different things. You either reveal a problem for people, you offer them like a free trial of a service in some shape or form, or you give them step 1 of multiple different steps. Now, for us, we actually create a roadmap for entrepreneurs. So we actually use the step 1 of X. But what's interesting about this is that our roadmap actually reveals the problems within a business. And when we actually deliver the roadmap and have a conversation with people, it also serves as a free trial. So our lead magnet, and the reason why it's so powerful and it's been working really well for us is that it has a combination of all three of these. However, if I was going to boil it down to one, it's really just outlining the first step in a series of steps that people want to conduct. But again, take the one that is most relevant for your business. We've got some examples on each one if you're a little bit unsure and you want some more support, but very, very helpful. Okay. Next thing is how we actually collect like actual information. Okay. So for us, when a lead comes through, we have them come through ads or we have them like through a referral. And the first thing that we need to do is actually add them onto high level, right? The way that we actually get most of our leads and capture their information is that we send them to a landing page, and on that landing page, they submit their information. Okay? That's how we find out who they are. That's how we start to get some sort of information. That's how we can then get their contact details so we can contact them. And this is a really important step because people say like, oh, I've got loads of people like clicking on my ads and loads of people like watching my content, and say, okay, how many of those can you actually sell to? Like, especially when it's higher ticket, you can't just say, hey, I'm doing this thing, go and buy my thing. And say, no, you need leads, you need to contact your leads, you need to nurture them. And to do so, if you get their contact details, it's so much easier to do so. So, get their contact details. And you can do this in a variety of different ways. Landing page is typically the most common, but there's a few different ways that you can do it. Find out the way that you're going to do it and stick with it. The thing is, and this is why this is so important, is that I could do a booking link and a DM flow, and I could do a quiz, and I could do a landing page. But let me tell you why my business gets so much better if I just select one. If I just have a landing page, I can split test this landing page over and over and over again to get better and better results. Now let me give you an example of one of the landing pages that I split tested recently. We went from 4% to 14%. Okay? We did a split test and over tripled our volume going through our entire funnel because we split tested a landing page. Now, the only reason why it was worth doing the split test is because we had enough leads going through there to be able to see what actually works best. Now, the truth is, if I was doing a quiz and a DM flow and I was doing like an application form and all this extra stuff, I would have to like split my attention of looking at all of these individually and saying, okay, what can I split test here? What should I direct flow here? What should I direct flow there? Whereas just by making it simple, I can just focus on one and just grow that side. Okay? So just capture your leads information and make it as simple as possible. Next thing is conversion. Okay? We want to look at how do you actually sell. For us, we use a sales call. You might be able to sell over DMs. You might be able to use a funnel checkout page where people actually just buy on a landing page. You could do an actual physical store. You could do an event where people actually go and buy your stuff, whatever, right? But you need to know how you're actually going to sell and just simplify. Make it easy as possible. The next thing is how to take payment. We take our payments through Stripe. So we're on a call, we're on a sales call, someone says that they want to buy, we send them a Stripe link, they make the payment on the call, and then boom, we can move forward, right? So that's how we take payment. Then you might have a proposal with an invoice and then the client pays it whenever. You might have in-call payment link, which actually is also what we do. So we have a Stripe link, but we use it in-call payments structure. Or you might have a physical point of sale where you're using like a payment thing that takes people's payment, whatever, right? Like you need to know how you take payment. Great. Next, we can look at delivery. Okay, so this is the last section, and it's actually how you fulfill the offer that you've promised within the traffic, within the lead magnet, and then in terms of like actually capturing and converting people what you've just sold them on. Okay, so for me, our service delivery is the coaching side of things. We only do one-to-one coaching. We don't do group coaching. We're not selling any courses. We're not doing like the actual service delivery or anything like that. Although all these are different options of what your business might be doing. Okay, so just take the one that you want to focus on. If you take more than two here, there's a problem within your business, most likely. Unless you're doing like over 100,000 a year, I would say you just need to focus on one, maximum two. Okay, anything more than that, you're really like, you think you're doing more because you're capturing more of the market and you're like linearly, what's it called? Like linearly integrated, where you're like, oh, well, no, it makes sense for us to do all of these things in this particular way. It's like, yeah, but only one of them is going to be the main driver of the business. So just focus on that one, okay? And make the traffic better for the one that's actually the main focus, right? So that's ours. Then the next thing is going to be the product delivery. So actually looking at the So this is if you don't have a service. If you've got a product, what does that product actually look like? How do you ship that? Have you got like an actual product that's going to be shipped? Is it going to be someone's going to come and pick it up? Is it going to be like a subscription box that people buy and it's a recurring shipment? What's that look like? Okay, simple, super simple. Next thing is client experience, right? So on this, you can have an onboarding flow, which we do. We also have we don't have a WhatsApp support group. We do have a resource hub, a client dashboard, but we do have WhatsApp support. Yeah, so people can message us on WhatsApp to say, hey, I need some help with this. And again, it just clarifies what we actually do for this problem. Yeah. Then the next thing is the onboarding side of it. I'm not going to go through each individual step. There's lots of different things that you can do with the onboarding. There's maybe even other things that I haven't listed here that you might do for your onboarding, which is different and unique. And if so, great. Absolutely do it. But just clarify. Make it really easy. Same with your offboarding, right? And then once you've ticked these different boxes, okay, you can actually skim over and look at, this is actually how my business works. Now, if you're looking through this and you've got loads of different things ticked, you're probably doing something wrong. You want to make it simple so that you can make an easy enough to follow diagram for this. Even when I look at our business model at the moment, I think that this is too complicated. And my goal over the next month or two is to eliminate as many of these things as possible. The reason why is because the more complicated something is, the more I have to split my attention, the more I have to have variables that I'm introducing into the business, and the harder it's going to be to build this diagram and maintain it. Okay? There's a quote that I heard recently: limit the number of variables and perfect each variable. Yeah? If I was amazing at this, I'm going to make 10, 20, 30 times more than if I just added more and more to this. Okay? If I added in different types of content, yeah? Loads of new platforms. If I added in loads of different types of ads, and I did YouTube ads, and I did TikTok ads, and all the extra different types of ads that I could do. If I started doing different outreach, email outreach, warm outreach campaigns where I do it in person, whatever, right? All this kind of extra stuff, I could add a lot to this model. However, I have more leverage just by getting better, making my content better, making my ads better, and making my outreach better, making my roadmap calls better, okay? Making my onboarding better, making my coaching calls better. This is what actually is going to give me leverage by making things simpler and making them better rather than just adding more and more detail, okay? Once you've done your 4-stage business flow, I recommend you then create something like this. And then the first question I ask you is, if I was to add 10 times as many leads going through this process, what would break first? Yeah, and then solve for that. Okay. If you say, if I was going to add 10 times as many leads, right, I would say that, we wouldn't be able to handle that many application calls. Great. So I need to, not only do I need to like increase my actual marketing efforts and, maybe spend more on ads and maybe make my content better, but I would also need to then be ready, because the infrastructure that I need to build is adding in availability so that we can handle more roadmap calls. Yeah. So this is the way that we structure our business. It's what I recommend you do as well. Add more detail to it if you want in terms of like specific processes. But what I would recommend is that once you've got this kind of basic outline set out, we actually use something called the STS process. Okay. So what I mean by that is that this gives us an overview of how the business runs. Okay. But there's extra layers on top of it that you don't see. So the extra layers is the S, T, and the S. First S is software, right? For example, if I'm making content, I need Premiere Pro, I need maybe Opus Clips, I need these different softwares that I'm going to use. I need OBS to record my screen that actually allow me to record everything, okay? Then T is team. So within content, I take this recording, I send it to an editor, the editor edits things, and then sends it to a social media manager who then uploads it. I have a team that it also integrates within content, okay? So you might be looking at, just the content needs to be better. No, maybe the software needs to be better that you're using. Maybe the team needs to be better. And then the last thing is the SOPs, right? Now, realistically, SOPs should actually come first. So I'm going to switch the S's and say that you should focus on your SOPs, build out what your SOPs are. Then it makes it easier for you to delegate to your team and then also get the right softwares in place, because you can base it off the SOPs rather than getting the software, getting some team in place, and then thinking about the SOPs, right? So, but that's the last stage, right? Like, that's one of the key stages to this. Each of these different things should have their own SOPs associated with them. So when it comes to actually understand how the business functions, it's no longer a question of, who does this work, or could I do this? It's like, no, all of this stuff works. To grow my business, right, with the level that we're currently at and the vision that I have, I don't actually really need to add anything to what we do. I just need to make it better. And my question that I ask myself all the time is like, okay, if I was to just make this better, how much money could I make? And I genuinely believe that with this structure and system, we could have a £1 million business. £1 million a month business. Yeah? £1 million a month business just using this structure. The only difference between where we are now and where we will be in the future is that all of these processes get so much better. Our ads get better. Our coaching gets better. Our sales process gets better. We have more qualified people selling. We're selling at higher prices. All this kind of stuff, we get just better at what we're already doing. Yeah. So this is how I recommend you actually build out your business structure. And this is going to give you a much easier way for you to predict what to do. And most importantly, it's going to allow you to make better decisions of where you need to focus your time and attention within business. So hopefully this helps. If it does, amazing. If it doesn't, I'm sure that one of these videos will help you. And also, FYI, I know this video helped. I'm very confident that this is going to make any business owner's life much, much easier. And if you haven't done this and you think it won't help, trust me, take my word for it. It's going to help. Just go and do it.